Second straight week, the Miami Dolphins lose to a game-winning field goal from the opposing team's kicker. This time, it came from Young-Ho Koo. And no, it was not a 54-yard field goal, 53-yard field goal. But the end result, nonetheless, is the same. Miami Dolphins lose their sixth straight game, 30-28 to the Atlanta Falcons. It was looking all good at the very end. The Dolphins had taken a 1-point lead, and it came down to stopping the Atlanta Falcons, and that's something the defense could not do. Kyle Pitts got a big reception over Xavier Howard and in between Javion Holland. And then on top of that, you look at just the Dolphins failing to stop the running game, which really hurt them at the very end there. Both teams had 2 turnovers, so pretty much splits even at that point. Aside from that, the Dolphins should have clearly won this game. They had a better running attack, and they didn't have a better passing attack, but we'll go over some stats right now. So we'll start off with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan went 25 of 40, 336 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and he was sacked once for a loss of 11 yards. And then for the Miami Dolphins, Tua went 32 of 40, 291 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 1 sack, loss of 10 yards. This is the first time Tua has thrown 4 touchdowns in a game, and he had nearly 300 yards. Let's go back to the Falcons. When it comes to rushing, Cordell Patterson was their leading rusher. 14 of 60 yards, 1 touchdown. Right after him was Mike Davis, 4 carries, 10 yards. And then for the Dolphins, leading rusher was Myles Gaskin. He had 15 carries, 67 yards. Following him was Tua, 4 carries, 29 yards. Savon Ahmed, 7 carries, 26 yards. And then Malcolm Brown, 3 carries, 10 yards. It was a pretty well-rounded rushing attack from the Dolphins. But at the end of the day, just doesn't matter when you lose. Receiving, Kyle Pitts had one of his biggest games so far this season. 7 receptions, 163 yards. Longest was 39 yards. He kept on just getting behind the Dolphins secondary, and it was really hurting them. Following him was Gage. He had 4 receptions, 67 yards, but his biggest play was that 49-yard touchdown reception over the top in the middle. Hayden Hurst, 3 receptions, 35 yards. And then for the Miami Dolphins, Mike Gesicki. So both tight ends of each team, both leading tight ends, had a great day on National Tight End Day. So that's something to say. Mike Gesicki, 7 receptions, 85 yards, 1 touchdown. Jalen Waddle, 7 receptions, 83 yards. Darren Smythe, 3 receptions, 37 yards, and it kind of falls off after that. But Matt Collins, Myles Gaskin, and Isaiah Ford, as well as Mike Gesicki, caught a touchdown for the Dolphins. Fumbles. Nick Needham recovered a fumble, which was big. This fumble set up the Miami Dolphins to possibly win the game. And if the defense would have held up on the final drive, it would have definitely done that. Matt Ryan lost the fumble. Defensively, Deion Jones had 15 total tackles, 11 solo, 1 sack, 3 tackles for a loss, and 1 QB hit. And then for the Miami Dolphins, the leading tackler was Eric Rowe, 9 total tackles, 5 solo, 1 pass deflection. Aside from that, the defense didn't really do much. Xavier Howard had a crazy interception. I think it was going to Calvin Ridley or something like that. Kind of had the possession of the ball, and he was falling down, and the ball was starting to get loose, never hit the floor, and Xavier Howard comes up with it. So technically, it became an interception instead of some type of fumble. Aside from that, the Dolphins almost got screwed over again on a on a punt that nearly touched the punt returner, and questionable. I thought the Dolphins should have tried challenging that, but since they got spurned with it last week, I doubt they want to challenge a play like that again. But that's something that the Dolphins team is missing. They're missing being bold, missing, contesting things, doing things out of the ordinary. That's something that the Dolphins need to work on moving forward if they even want to be relatively competitive in terms of winning games. Because they're competitive, they're just not winning games. And it's unfortunate because you come so close after having a pretty rough day and you come out on top in the final 3 minutes of the game, and your defense cannot bail you out one last time. And I understand the defense has been bailing them out for the most part of the game, but just need one stop. They needed one stop, and they couldn't get it, and that really cost the Dolphins the game. It's really unfortunate. 6th straight loss for the Miami Dolphins, and it's a real rough road. With all these rumors about trading for Deshaun Watson, yes, it's kind of good that Tua put up a 4-touchdown performance, but the Dolphins need to win. They need to win desperately, and they need to win right now. The window is really closing, with a lot of teams having 4-2 records. Probably going to be 5-2. You know, some teams are going to be 6-1. Arizona Cardinals might be 7-0. So these are some things that the teams around the NFL are getting better, and the Dolphins are just getting worse right now in terms of record. And being healthy is another thing. Devontae Parker was not in this game, but that's pretty much it I have for this game. Let me talk about some kicking. Jason Sanders missed a field goal and went 4 for 4 on extra points. And then we have this guy, Young-Ho Koo, who had a pretty good game for the Falcons. He went, I'll tell you right now, he went 3 for 3 on field goals and 3 for 3 on extra points. The last field goal being the biggest one, obviously, winning them the game with 3 seconds left. So that's one thing that the Dolphins need to do, really just shore up that defense. I think they did pretty well defensively. They were able to get out on 3rd down quite often this game, but other times it was just costly mistakes, letting the opposing offensive players get behind them. Aside from that, offense, it hurt when you have those 2 interceptions, especially the one in the red zone that was targeted to Durham Smythe. Those are really unfortunate plays, but what can you do? It's a loss in the books, and they just got to move on and move forward. I believe the Dolphins' next game is, let me tell you guys who the Dolphins are playing next. They play the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. You can pretty much chalk that one up as a loss, boys. Dolphins have had struggles in Buffalo for the recent years, and especially with the emergence of Josh Allen, it's not going to look well for the Dolphins. And we'll find out by the end of next week if Deshaun Watson is a Miami Dolphin or not. Me personally, I'm not a huge fan of it. Tremendous player, but with the uncertainty of his chance to play, and then you on top of that, the amount of draft capital or player capital that you have to give away, it's definitely something that could hurt the Dolphins more than it could help them. So we just had to see what happens, and we are less than a week and a half away from the trade deadline. So that's something to look forward to. Aside from that, Dolphins' running game looked actually pretty well this game. Aside from that, passing was well. They came up short. It's pretty much all you can say. But I appreciate you guys for watching, and see you guys in the next video.